So several people have asked me how I went about making these really cute little snuggly, soft, squishy beds for Lola and Zoe, for our little kittens, and or our cats, I guess now. And so I thought I would make a video. It's going to be a two-part video, and Lola and Zoe are probably going to come in here and join us because they're upset that I took their beds from them. I may have to move them off the beds in order to show how to make them, but we'll see how we're going to do. So first we need supplies. I start off with about 2 yards, that's probably too much, but of some really nice microfiber. Something that's really soft to the touch and doesn't, get all heated up. The kitties like something not only that's squishy, but also very soft to their skin. There's Zoe. She's coming to join us too. They miss their beds. They love these beds. So, I got this idea when I saw them laying in a dog bed in our home, and I realized they really had their own preference for the type of bed, and once they started playing together and sleeping together, I thought it would be nice if they could have like a little place where they would feel very safe and secure laying together. So sometimes they lay side by side in their beds, and sometimes they lay like yin and yang together, head to toe. They're extremely sweet and precious. For supplies, really basic stuff. The 2 yards of, I recommend microfiber. If you have something else on hand and you want to try it, go ahead, but this is really soft and they really love it. I also built them a cat condo and I used microfiber on a couple of places of it with a little bit of squish beneath it, and that's the place you'll always find the cats laying or sitting. They love the microfiber and they love the squishy stuff. I'm going to need just, a decent pair of scissors to cut the fabric, a marker. I use red, and it's easy to see on just about any color. Maybe I guess if you're only making 1 or 2 beds, I don't know, but probably about, maybe 2 feet of elastic. This is just, I've never worked with elastic before until now. Don't let it intimidate you. It's really simple to use, and the way, at least in the way I use it, it's really simple to use. So you'll need some squishy stuff, and you might want to even just take this out of one of the pillows. If you have old pillows laying around the house, I happen to have some. I had done some, taught myself how to do some upholstery and on some chairs, and I had bought a bag of this filler. So use that, and some Stitch Witchery. For those of us who know about Stitch Witchery, we know what a miracle product this is. This is what you're going to use in place of needle and thread or sewing machine. This stuff is fantastic. I recommend it to anyone who's not a seamstress or anyone who doesn't like to sew. You'll see how great it works. And then you need a basket. When I decided what to do, I went out to the thrift store and I came across 3 of these stacked one inside of the other. Really inexpensive. I bought them. I went and got the fabric and everything else I needed, came home and made these that afternoon. You can see that the basket is kind of bowl-shaped, and you can kind of see how wide across they are. Now the one Lola's in, I think might be a tad smaller. These 2 that I used are the same size. Then this one here is maybe, I'm guessing it might be another inch in diameter all the way around, maybe even 1.5 inches. It's just a little bit bigger than those other 2, but not much. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this one yet, but so those are the supplies that you're going to need. Nothing fancy. You will need a needle and thread for one thing. You're going to make about 4 or 5 stitches at the very end of the project, and that's it though, so don't be worried about having to sew anything. I guess I'll use this one as an example for you, even though I was hoping to use the other. If I turn this over, you can see really quickly what, how this is made. this is elastic, and I just made it as a cover over the basket. Inside of the cover, you can see I'm going to turn this inside out, is a pillow. Originally I was going to make a separate pillow that went underneath the cover, and then I realized I didn't even need to make a separate pillow. All I needed to do was to cut a separate piece of fabric and stick those two together, so that's what I did. So, to start your project off, what you want to do is lay your fabric out flat on the floor, or if you have a large working table, go ahead and use your large working table. That'll be fine too. And take your basket and turn it upside down, just like that. With your marker, you want to take it and think about where that elastic is going to land. I figured I wanted my elastic right about here, so that was maybe another 4 inches, and then I needed maybe an inch and a half to fold over for the seam, where the elastic was going to go, maybe even 2 inches, so let's say 6. And then I definitely didn't, oh, look at these two little babies. You don't want the bed to be taut across the top. What you want is you want it to bowl down. You see when I go like this, you don't see that. When they climb into it, it's a nice bowl effect that takes place there. So they're on nice squishy stuffing, you know, the soft fluffy stuff we put in there, just a thin layer of that so that they don't touch down to the bottom. But it has a lot of give in the fabric right there. So again, we take our basket, lay it right smack in the middle of that microfiber, and I'd say maybe go, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 inches outside of it, and just make a few marks with your marker around like this on the fabric. One thing I guess I should mention to you is that microfiber, when it's cut, or as it's being cut, tends to shed horribly. You can even see now as I'm playing around with it here on the carpet, you can see some of it shedding off here. It doesn't happen once it's on the beds. It's happening because I'm fingering it and turning it inside out, etc. And so once you've marked it out with your marker like that, all you want to do is take your pair of scissors. This isn't rocket science. We're going to do it. Look at the two of them. Yeah. They play all day long. And just take your scissors and just freehand. You just want to cut it. Just aim for that next one, and you want to, when you're done, you want a big circle. It's not a perfect circle. No, we're not looking for perfection. We're just looking to make a nice circle that we're going to use the stitch witchery to seal up later. Don't worry about it if your angle's off a little here or there. Take your time, cut it, make sure you've got about the same inches out from the edge all the way around. That's really what you're aiming for. Then take your fabric, another piece of fabric, and lay it across the top of the basket. Take your scissors and just cut yourself something that goes all the way around the edge. So you want something that fits perfectly inside. It's laying down into the bowl of the basket, and you just want to cut it all along the edges. So you're just shaping the basket out here. Look at little Lola. And she's so sweet. Okay, so now you have your fabric. Next step is get out your ironing board and your iron. Now you're going to want to heat up your iron all the way. I don't know what Stitch Witchery calls for, but I say heat it up all the way up to the highest setting. That's the wool setting. And fill up your steam valve all the way with water and get ready to use Stitch Witchery. And come back for part 2.